If you're watching this, it means you have been affected by alopecia in one way or another. You have just begun to go bald, or you're in the process of doing so, or you have lived your whole life and have a gestalt to come with a baldness and get hair. I decided to do a trilogy. What are the pros and cons of each method? The hair transplant, the hair system, and the SMP. What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? What the pros and cons are, and after that could understand that there is no way out. And secondly, perhaps something to pick up for yourself and understand what works best for you. Probably many of you are thinking or have thought that since you are bald, then you have to give up. Nothing can be corrected and you have to live with it, sometimes even suffer. No, it's not that critical and tragic given today's technology. The first is affordable price. If before, like 10-15 years ago, it was just an impossible cost, which you had to save money or borrow it, I don't know, sometimes you can even take a loan from bank and pay for just old technology, FUT, and triple the price, like I did, for example. Yes, I did FUT and paid a lot of money for it and got scarred as a result. Now, in the range from 2000 euro, as much as laptop cost, you can find a quite good clinic is the start of the price, and a good doctor, and solve the problem of alopecia, which I actually do with you in my detailed consultations, depending on your specific case. So, the first point is affordable and reasonable price for a hair transplant. I can't forget to tell you, especially for those who think that one of the methods are a deception of nature and attempt to justify yourself. You can talk for a long time about how a wig is so not natural or a hair transplant or something like that. Guys, all three methods are an attempt to get away from nature, which has made you bald. So don't be fooled into thinking that the method you choose is more right than any other. All three of these methods are tricking nature into making you not bald. The second benefit is the hair, which we can say you will have forever. Someone say that this hair will fall out too. Guys, hair falls out even in those who don't have alopecia. Any hair is subject to hair loss. Transplanted hair doesn't fall out more often or more than the hair you have in the donor area as well. So that kind of hair is forever. The advantage number 3 is that hair transplantation can be done practically in any age, starting from 15 years old, and probably the oldest client I know was 75-76 years old. So there are no special restrictions for hair transplantation. There is health and general condition that can be a limitation, which may or may not be suitable for surgery. That's why hair transplants can be done at almost any age, and not, as some people say, you can do a transplant only when all the hair falls out. That's not true. It can be done at almost any age. Advantage number 4 is that hair transplants look very natural. First, make a proper plan for a hair transplant. Second, do the frontline modeling, is what I do for you. Number 3, professional doctor and his professional team who take care of it and bring it all to life. Everyone who watched my blog know that I try to talk a lot about hair transplant and trying to prepare you for everything, for any case. Exactly so that all 3 of these points come together and you get awesome results. I prepare the front line for you, make modeling before you go to the surgery and for your particular case. I also find a team and a particular professional doctor who will do best for you, depends on your case. But like any coin, there is like a downside, which I also want to share, so you know what you can encounter. I'm the person who has had 2 hair transplants, who is very knowledgeable about hair transplants, doctors, and design. For the last year and a half, I also follow up with my guys after hair transplants. I also try to communicate with the really top doctors in the world by traveling and researching clinics all over the world. And I have to warn you that there are also certain nuances that you have to consider. The first point is, after all, you need surgery. Yes, if for example hair system you can glue, try, trim, wear, and if you don't like, then throw it away and forget about it. Hair transplantation still requires an operation. And I noticed that even those who 1 year ago were directly against the hair system neatly moved from the camp of hair transplantation to the hair system. There were cases to the contrary. The second point is the relatively long recovery period. Again, if you compare it with the hair system, for example, here you try hair system, glue it, wear it. If you like it, okay, keep going. If you don't like it, just throw it and forget about it. And the result of hair transplantation will be visible at least in a year. For some areas, such as the crown, their hair grows back longer. So you have done with the surgery and you are waiting. You wait for the entire period. And you may not look very, let's say, aesthetically good, especially considering the second month when you start to have shock loss and recovery of the donor area. Yeah. It's not the best look, and that is the recovery period you have to go through. I ask you to write a comment that suits for you better, what you are more likely to go for, what seems more acceptable for you, hair transplant, SMP or hair system. The third point, a nuance of hair transplantation. All depending on the level of alopecia and the situation, hair transplantation not always allows to receive that density and that volume of hair which you would like to have. If you have second, third level of alopecia, a huge donor area, and it's possible to use a large quantity of donor material to get very natural result close to real hair density. Then, if for example you have 6th stage of alopecia and poor donor area, transplantation will give in general only illusion of presence of the hair. I can call it exactly that. Yes, there will be hair, we can spread it out equally, but it's not the density that you can get it, for example, the same with the hair system. Here, of course, SMP can be helpful. I will talk about it later in another video. Point number 5. We can say that about 80 or even 90% of hair transplant don't look very natural, because the first is not a plan of how the transplant will be done. Second, not enough attention is given to the front line, and it's not being modeled. It's what I do for you. Third point, not enough attention is given to choosing the right doctor and the right clinic. As a result, even with the good donor material, which can be used as much as possible, you can get the great results. Some people get, well, not quite natural results. At least if some awareness comes after some times, that it will be nice to redo and to add naturalness, to make correction to the front line. Yes, to make it look like more natural, but you can't always do that, as keep repeating from the video in the video. The front line is very important. The white dots. The white dots on the donor area are little scars. They are left on you depending on your skin type, because on some on you can be visible less and on some on you visible more, but white dots are out there. Not many clinics will tell you and warn you about this. Not much of this information is on the internet, but I have to warn you that the white dots on the donor area, just on some people they are less visible, on some people more or less noticeable. This is important, especially if you, for example, want to try a hair system in the future and accordingly use all the density of hair that you would like. Remember that firstly all the density will go to the transplant, and the most important thing is that you can't cancel it. Once again, if, for example, you can wear a hair system, wear it, and if you don't like it, just throw it away and forget about it, and you spend practically almost nothing in a small amount of money to try something new. With a hair transplant, you spend your money, you wait 1 year, and only after 1 year you can understand what the result you can get. And you also have to remember the survival rate of your hair, because even the clinic does a great job, it's still not a fact of how your body works that your hair will take root 100% of the time. Watching my guys, in general, I can say that survival rate on average is about 85-90%. In very rare case, hair doesn't take root or take root zonally. More often, graft's survival rate is good. In very rare case, hair doesn't take root or take root zonally. More often, graft survival rate is good. That is the thing about hair transplants. In the next video, I will tell you about the pros and cons of SMP, as well as advantages and disadvantages of the hair system. It's up to you to decide what's best for you. Each of you has the right to choose the method that suits for you best. Respect each other's choice, and believe me, everyone decides what's comfortable for him or for her. There is no shame in it when you do a transplant, when you wear a hair system or use SMP. And don't even try to convince yourself that some of these methods are more correct and some of them not. It's all about the choice you have. 3 ways, 3 choices. Which one do you like? Write in a comment, and the most important thing is just let be hairy again.